All right, everyone, we start off today talking about the Undemocratic National Convention, which physically in person may not even happen at this point. It looks like they're doing it digitally first. They're probably hoping that there's no possibility of mutiny, and then maybe they have their Chicago convention. They may switch venues. It's all kind of up in the air right now. It is very undemocratic, small d and big D, by the way. They're effectively coronating Kamala Harris beforehand, as they planned to do with Joe Biden, by the way, prior anyway. They're making sure that they're tamping down on the party and saying, okay, calm down, kids. We're going to skip some of the preliminaries here and make sure that there's no more chaos. The reason they're doing this is because there's been plenty already. Between the mutiny against Biden, him dropping out, the attempted assassination of Trump, everything is all screwy. It's all haywire right now. Kamala Harris does bring one thing to the party that Joe couldn't deliver that actually is good for the Democrats, by the way. Still think she loses in the end. I see a wall-to-wall propaganda astroturfing and blackpilling right now when I look at the news or when I look at Twitter. But that aside, I still expect Trump to likely win the election. That being said, there is one advantage to Kamala. Kamala is a bit more tolerated by the far lefties than Joe Biden. She's not as old. She's still older, but, you know, by presidential standards, relatively young. She's in her 50s. She's a person of color, and she's waffled a little bit more on the Gaza issue, calling for a ceasefire. And so she's been more forceful about calling for a ceasefire than the Biden admin as a total, which means you probably get less of the Gaza protesters at the convention. So now it probably does, if they have it in person at all, it doesn't devolve into a 1968 style shit show probably. Still possible. She's still a neoliberal. I hope that these leftoids realize she was one of the most tough on crime prosecutors in her state, actually, back when she was doing that, putting thousands and thousands of people in prison for nonviolent drug offenses and shit like that. She's a neoliberal, but she looks the part more than Joe Biden does, so she can get away with a little bit more. It's probably the only main advantage to having her as the top of the ticket. Of course, she's still got to choose a running mate, and that'll be meaningful. By the way, the Obama-Clinton Civil War appears to have ended. I can tell you exactly how it ended, by the way. The Obamas are owed favors by, you know, a double-digit proportion of all of the members of the Democratic Party that are in there. He's king liberal. He went in there and said, look, your campaign is a mess. And you just booted my former VP off of the ticket. Behind closed doors, this is not about just Joe Biden has health issues and he had a reckoning moment and said, I can't do this. They forced him out. And he said, well, you owe me. So I want leverage over the VP pick. I'm going to create your short list, and you can choose from them. These are people who owe me favors and shit like that. There is so much court intrigue going on right now in the White House that you wouldn't believe it. You're not going to hear about it, but you can infer it. I guarantee that the Obamas and the Clintons went to the White House together, and they talked with Kamala, and Joe is probably there too, and a few other people, and the Obamas decided to assert hegemony, effectively. Said, look, the Clintons, you already exhausted most of your favors in 2016, and you fucking failed. I fucking succeeded. I'm fucking liberal king, not you. Stand down. I have a feeling that's what happened. And so finally, she gets the Obama endorsement. This is meaningful. If Obama had just gone back to Hawaii and said, yeah, fuck you people. I'm going to go eat pineapple and grilled pig and shit like that. I'm going to go eat coconuts on the beach. What the fuck do I give a shit about this party for anymore? If he had decided to do that, it would have been pretty damaging to the Kamala Harris ticket. You can't win without the endorsement of the Obamas if you're on the liberal side of politics. If they decide they don't like you, you're pretty much screwed. It doesn't matter if the Clintons are propping you up at this point. They're old hat compared to the Obamas. The convention, though, almost doesn't matter. It was self-evident the second that Joe dropped that Kamala Harris had a 99.9% chance of being effectively unopposed. I don't even know why they're bothering, by the way, to prevent the delegates from nominating other people at the convention. It really doesn't matter. Oh my God, you got Gavin Newsom got 5 votes. Gretchen Whitmer got 6. Oh my God, yeah, she's going to be the next nominee. Kamala was already going to get 90+% of them anyway because she was on the ticket. She's the only one that you can swap Joe Biden out there for in several states without losing the possibility of winning the states. I think there are 3 of them, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia, and then Biden has to claim medical incapacity at least 2 of them, and he hasn't done that so far. It's not exactly clear what happens. By the way, there's an FEC filing by the Trump campaign saying that Kamala Harris shouldn't be allowed to touch the war chest that Biden had originally because that would violate election law. I expect that eventually that will be found true, but it'll be ex post facto. It'll be after the election, depending on the results, of course. That will affect what they decide. It's very undemocratic. They are coronating Kamala. But who the fuck is going to run against her? Nobody else has thrown their hat into the ring. So I don't understand exactly why they think this is a good idea. You're just giving fodder to the right wing, by the way, by doing this. It's very, very interesting that they would make that particular decision. She's unopposed. She's the vice president, so she's got kind of, sort of, almost incumbency. She's got the backing of the dude who dropped out. She's got the backing of the Clintons and the Obamas, the kingmakers and queenmakers of the Democratic Party. Let the delegates do what they want to do. Who else are they going to scrape up? She would be running unopposed anyway. They're all going to cement behind Kamala Harris anyway, but likability aside, because she's not, coherence aside, because she's not, they would still solidify behind her because there's no alternative. They don't have a choice. Right now you see a lot of astroturfing and bravado from the people that support Kamala Harris, but they're scared. The bravado is to try to circle wagons around the Democratic candidate for politically partisan reasons. That's all they're doing right now. There's a massive ad campaign going on, by the way, online that I thankfully don't have to see because I know how to use competent ad blocker. Use uBlock Origin. Trust me. I haven't seen an ad on the internet in years and years, actually. It's pretty great. Yeah, and, you don't get tempted into buying shit that you don't need, nor do you see shit from people that you don't support. It's funny to click on it anyway, run their ad campaign down, but, it's only humorous for a short period of time. The National Convention effectively is undemocratic. They're forcing Kamala down the throats of voters that didn't generally vote for her. Although there were a handful of people that did vote for Kamala Harris in the primaries, probably as a protest vote against Joe. She'll, in the end, get most of the voters that would have voted for Biden anyway, because she was on the ticket. And so she's also a little bit more palatable. Again, she's the only person you can swap for because her name was there. And so when people voted for that ticket, they did so knowing Joe is on his last leg, probably doesn't serve out his second term, and so when they pulled the lever for that ticket in the primaries, they were saying, I'm comfortable with a Kamala Harris presidency. So it really doesn't change anything. The situation is completely the same as it was before. The polling's the same. Everything's the same. I like how they're astroturfing the New Hampshire poll as though it's meaningful. Biden had a lead in New Hampshire, too. There was like one poll that showed effectively a statistical tie. It does not matter. Trump is not counting on New Hampshire to carry him across 270, so I don't know what these people are smoking, but I don't want any of it. That's about all. Peace out.